Today I am doing numeracy. In numeracy, I am doing division. Division is a simple operation in which a number is divided. First, I worked out how many flowers there are. There are 4 flowers in total. Then, I worked out how many groups of flowers there are. I worked out that there are 2 groups of flowers because of the space in between these flowers. And finally, I worked out how many flowers were in each group. I counted the number of flowers in each group and I found that there are 2 flowers in each group. So, 4, the number of flowers there are, divided by 2, the number of groups there are, equals 2, the number of flowers in each group. And the rest of the sections in question 1 are similar to this section. In question 2, I had to find the 2 other numbers to put in. I found that the question says that there are 6 balls, and I found out that there are 2 groups by putting a line on where I think there are 2 groups, here and here. And finally, I found out how many balls were in each group by counting the number of balls in each group. There are 3 here and 3 here. So the number of balls in each group is 3. 6, the number of balls altogether, divided by 2, the number of groups there are, equals 3, the number of balls in each group. And over here in this section, I had to put in I had to write all 3 numbers. First, I found out how many diamonds there were altogether, and I skip counted by 3, so it would be quicker instead of counting. So I found out that there are 12 diamonds altogether, and then I put a line to show, and then I drew a line to show the groups, and I found there are 4 groups. And last of all, I found how many diamonds were in each group by counting them. I found that there are 3 diamonds in each group. So, 12, the number of diamonds there are, divided by 4, the number of groups there are, equals 3, the number of diamonds in each group. In question 3, I had to draw a picture or diagram to find each of these answers. Here, the first 2 numbers were already done for me. 12 is the number of things there were, and 6 are the number of groups. I drew 6 circles to represent the 6 groups, and I drew a line in each group and continued until I had 12 lines. I found out by counting that there are 2 lines in each group. So I wrote 2 as the answer. So 12, the number of things there were, divided by 6, the number of groups there are, equals 2, the number of things in each group. And all these other sections of the question are similar to this section. In question 4, I had to match one of these to one of these. To find 12 divided by 3, I looked for a box that had 12 balls and then drew 2 lines to make 3 groups. And I counted the number of balls in each group, and there are 4 balls in each group. So 12, the number of balls there are, divided by 3, the number of groups there are, equals 4, the number of balls in each group. And all these other sections in this question are similar. In question 5, I learned another strategy of dividing. To start at how many things there are. Here it is 14, so I start at 14, and the number of groups there are is 7, so I jump back 7 spaces and continue until I get back to 0, and then count how many jumps I have made. I counted the number of jumps, which is 2. So 14, the number of things there are, divided by 7, the number of groups there are, equals 2, the number of things in each group. And all these and question 6 and 7 are similar to question 5. In question 8, I used this number line to find the answers to all these questions. In this question, I used a color black so I wouldn't get confused. So I used the same strategy as question 5, 6, and 7, but instead of just counting how many jumps there were, I had to make the jumps myself. So 14 was my start number. 14 is how many things there are, so I started at 14. And 2 is the number of groups there are, so I jumped back 2 spaces and continued until I got back to 0. Then I counted the number of groups. I counted the number of jumps I made until I got back to 0, which is 7. So 14, the number of things there are, divided by 2, the number of groups there are, equals 7, the number of things in each group. And all these other questions I had to complete are similar to this question. 12 is the number of hats Dizzy has. Shared tells me I need to divide. Dizzy's 4 friends are the 4 groups. And my strategy of working the question out is what times the number of groups, there are 4, equals 12, the number of things in each group. I used my 4 times tables to figure this out. I found that 3 times 4 equals 12, so 3 is the number of hats each person got. 5 is the number of groups there are, 5 boxes. Each box holds 1 pair of shoes. 1 pair of shoes means there are 2 of the same shoes in each box. How many shoes does Mango have? This is X. 5 times 2 equals 10. So 10 is the number of shoes Mango has. 10, the number of shoes Mango has, divided by 5, the number of groups there are, equals 2, the number of shoes in each box.